Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to another week of the Whole Soul Podcast. Today, we are going to be diving into a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and it is how to build self trust within you in this life. This is for the woman that struggles with self worth, believing that she's worthy, believing that she is enough. You might be dealing with self doubt, lack of self confidence. Maybe you are in a threshold moment. Maybe you know you are meant for something more, and maybe this old identity of who you once were is starting to dissolve, and you are kind of like stepping into this new way of being. Maybe you don't know what the evolution of that is yet, but you are in this period of a shift. So I just want to say and reiterate that if you are here, if you are listening to my podcast, when you listen to this show, I want you to feel seen, inspired, connected, and safe in this space. And I want you to walk away with feeling a deeper sense of self love, confidence, sovereignty, and remembering who you are on a deeper soul level. I like to share that because it's always such a good reminder for me to remember why I'm even showing up in the first place. So, with that, if this show has ever brought you any sort of value or truth or a mirror in remembering who you are on a deeper level, I would be so grateful if you could rate this show on Spotify or Apple or YouTube, wherever you are listening, just so that we can get it out to more incredible people out there who need this support, who need this space to really rise into their power. So, coming into the episode now, how to build self trust. Like I said, this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart because self worth has been a journey, probably one of the top things that I have had challenges with in this life and that I have just battled with myself about. But self trust is actually one of the most important things in this life because if you don't trust your intuition, if you don't trust your gut, if you don't trust your bodily instincts, then you are going to let external forces outside of you dictate what is right for you. And when this happens, you are not in your sovereignty. You are not operating from your personal power. So, in this world, in the whole soul world, self trust is a very, very important pillar, especially for highly sensitive and intuitive women. Because, especially being highly sensitive and very empathic and feeling people's energies and a lot of times absorbing emotions that aren't even yours to carry or hold, that becomes a huge weight. And it's very easy to lose yourself in external validation or people pleasing or over giving or overextending yourself to a point where you don't trust yourself because of XYZ. And I want to dive into the reasons of why we even experience self worth issues in the first place, especially as women. And I'm not going to say this is just for women because this applies for both males and females, but this podcast is for the girlies, it's for the women. So let's just focus on that and dive into that. So, the first way in which self worth issues come up is through your childhood programming, and also your nervous system patterning, which happens through your childhood programming. For example, I wanted to give this clear example because it's something that I've noticed within my own life the last few years and why I actually have been dealing with self worth issues for most of my life. I'll give a very specific example of when I was growing up, my mom and I would go to the grocery store. We would get fruits and veggies, and I would always be so excited to go get a few apples or get a few oranges or whatever fruit it was. And I had this memory come back to me maybe last year, maybe a few years ago, where my mom would take the fruits back to the place that I took them from and would choose her own. This might seem really silly, right? But this actually happened not long ago when I was at the grocery store getting some fruits with my mom, and she did the exact same thing. I picked out a few fruits and she was like, "No, these are not good," and put them back and picked out her own. And this sent me back to my childhood where I would just feel like the things that I would choose were not good. They weren't enough. They weren't worthy. And this is just a really simple example, and I'm sure there's many other examples and ways in which this has happened, but if your parents made you at any point in time question your decisions or whether you are right or wrong, this creates a belief system or a nervous system response that your decisions are not good or they're not enough or they're not worthy. And I want to say too, it's probably not your parents' intentions to do this, but there are very subtle energies that people project that do have an impact on you, especially when you are a child from ages 0 to 7, which is when your subconscious mind, when your nervous system is the most programmable. So that is where a lot of self-doubt comes from childhood programming, subtle energies and voices of doubt from other people, although it was not intended. Also, another thing very important for women is the collective wounding of women just not being in their power, women not having a voice, women not having a right to vote or make decisions in the house. And this goes way, 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 way back, like generations, millennia. It's actually very new where women have the ability to be sovereign and independent and make their own decisions without needing their husband to like approve them or give them permission. So there is this very, very, very deep wound in women where generally women just experience way more issues with self-worth than men because of our systemic and collective wounding as women. Another way that self-doubt creeps in is between the gap of who you are and who you were told to be. Let's just dive into that a little bit more. So, what this means, you have the core and the authentic essence of who you are, correct? And then as you grow up, you might have certain expectations of who you should be due to your family dynamics. Maybe your family, for example, is all doctors or lawyers or have these professional careers. And there's not a single person in your family that hasn't gone down that path. And so, as a child growing up in that family, that becomes kind of like the route that your family goes. And so you feel this expectation to follow that path because everybody else in your family has done it. And if you don't, then you're kind of this black sheep. And like, what is that person even doing if they're not doing what everybody else in our family is doing? So there is this gap. Like, if you are in that position, being in this kind of family, let's say, and you do not feel like that is your path, but you do it anyways, there is this whole persona of self-doubt that can creep in because you're not trusting yourself. You are just going by the book of what your family or your society or your culture is expecting you to be. So those are all ways in which self-doubt can really come in and take form, and it's really important to understand the origins because it doesn't just come from nowhere. And the more you can really become self-aware of your childhood, your patterning, your just being a woman and what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a free woman in this day and age where you have the ability to speak your truth and follow your intuition and follow your dreams. You might be the first woman in your lineage that actually has the opportunity to do this. It's a great honor and it's a great blessing, but it makes sense why self-worth wounds would come up. So let's dive into the impact that self-doubt has on your life, because when you experience self-doubt and self-worth issues, it doesn't just impact one area of your life. It impacts the entire quality of your life and every single aspect and avenue in your life. This means that you can feel stuck in decisions, or you might experience decision fatigue or decision overwhelm, or just a complete disorientation with your direction in life because you don't fully trust yourself. There's also the people pleasing, the overgiving, and under receiving in relationships, which means you don't allow yourself to fully receive help or just goodness that people want to give you. And this shows up because when you doubt yourself, when you doubt your worth, you don't source it from internally. You don't feel whole or complete within yourself. And so you depend on people outside of you to reflect to you or to give you that validation that you are worthy, which is why people pleasing comes up, because you are seeking to get somebody's approval for your worth and determining your worth based on their reaction, which is actually very, very hurtful and toxic. Also, overgiving, there's like this need that you really need to give all of yourself to be deemed or seen as worthy. Another impact that self-doubt has is chronic stress on your body. Your body holds chronic stress when you are in this survival state, because if you are constantly seeking outside of yourself, you're not present. You're living in the future. You're living in anxiety. You're not living in your body. You're living in your mind and these stories that aren't even true. And this is so hurtful for you. It takes away your vitality. It takes away your magnetism. This is actually such a big reason why so many people experience chronic diseases and autoimmune diseases, because when your system is in a state of overdrive and overgiving to a point where you're numb, your body is just, it can't continue to repair and repair and repair. If your body doesn't go into a state of relaxation and spends more time in a state of stress, of course there's going to be chronic conditions and autoimmune diseases that come through. So self-doubt is really a big root of this, which causes this chronic stress, this people pleasing. What self-doubt also has an effect on in your life is the silencing of your creativity and expression. Because what a lot of times happens is when you experience self-doubt, you don't think that your art is good or that it's not worth pursuing, because maybe you have this belief that it's not going to get you anywhere, that there's people that are better than you at art, or it's not worth your time because it's not going to make you money. But that's not even the point. And last but not least, the last thing that I'll share that self-doubt has an impact on is your connection to source, your spiritual connection to God, to the divine. Because when you experience self-doubt, you don't fully trust yourself, meaning your gut feelings, your intuition, your body's signals. And as a woman especially, your intuition is critical in your life, for your life force, for your magnetism, for your purpose, your passions. Your intuition is quite literally your GPS in your life, guiding you to where you're meant to go. And if you don't trust that, you are living a life half lived, maybe if that. You need to trust yourself. Like, I'm telling you, and I'm telling myself as I'm sharing this with you, you have to trust your intuition. It is guiding you, and you just have to give yourself the permission to know and really feel and understand that your body already knows. Your intuition knows where you're meant to go. And sometimes you just got to get yourself out of your own way to listen and take action on the intuition that's coming through. So, with that, the impact that self-doubt has on your life, you are not living your life fully. So now let's dive into how to actually start building self-trust in your life. Because self-trust begins with reliability and consistency with your actions. If you don't feel in yourself that you are reliable, how can you trust yourself? It's like any business, if you think about it. If a business is only marketing once a week, or like only opens their store once a week, are you going to think they're reliable? No. And the same thing goes for you. If you do not show up consistently for yourself and take actions that actually fulfill your desires or whatever it is that you're doing, you're not going to feel like you can rely on yourself. And this is where the self-doubt comes in. Another key principle of building self-trust in your life is having discipline and devotion to doing the hard things. We live in such a world of instant gratification, and it's really easy at first to just not do the hard things. But it's actually harder to experience life in the long term when you did the easy things short term, because then your life will be hard. So it's important as you build self-trust to start doing the hard things, start doing the things that make you uncomfortable, because as you expand your range and your capacity in your nervous system to experience challenge and difficulty and prove to yourself and show yourself that you can actually work through it and you can actually grow, this is what builds self-trust within you. It's also really important for you to start analyzing where in your life are you comfortable versus what feels uncomfortable. Getting clear on what in your life separates into those two categories, because it's actually resistance that is a guide, basically showing you a doorway of where you have the opportunity to grow, because growth does not happen when you stay in your comfort zone. You can stay in your comfort zone for a long time, but I promise you that time will go by and you will feel unsatisfied, because you will look back on your life and be like, holy shit, I did nothing. And that comes with a lot of grief. That is a very difficult price to pay when you have so many dreams, when you know you have this feeling of, I am meant for this, whatever it is, and you owe it to yourself to start building the self-trust, to move towards that step by step, day by day. Something you also need to do is befriend resistance instead of avoiding it, instead of pushing it away. Because again, it's an opportunity for you to grow into the discomfort and learn so much along the way. Another key is that your nervous system learns through repetition, not declarations, not affirmations. When you prove to your nervous system through action that is consistent and repetitive, that you can do it, that it is safe to do it, that is how you actually reprogram yourself to trust yourself more, because you're proving to yourself through consistency, through repetition, that, yeah, I actually can do this. Because the first time you do anything new, it will feel uncomfortable. You will experience discomfort, but the more you do it, the more that becomes your new baseline, the more it becomes your new normal, your new foundation. So now let's dive into some steps in how to build self-trust. The first thing is slowing down enough to listen to your body's signals and messages. If you are operating in a constant state of survival, being on the go, fight or flight, you're not giving yourself the time and the space to actually listen and receive what your body and what your intuition is communicating with you. So this might be an oversaturated term, and people talk about it so much, at least in my bubble on social media, but nervous system regulation is everything. It is the foundation of building your self-trust, your self-worth, your self-concept, your new belief systems that support the version of you that you are becoming. You need to create space in your day to create safety in your body and slow down to receive. That is step one. Step two is to start with small actions and promises that you will follow through on. This is important, and it's important not to start with big tasks because that's overwhelming and it's not going to work. So choose small actions every single day that you can actually follow through on consistently and over time. This is also how you build habits. So, for example, let's say in the morning you want to drink warm lemon water with sea salt every single day and make that a part of your morning routine. That is a really simple act. And when you start doing that every single day, a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks goes by, that becomes a part of your habits and you can trust yourself. You're building this muscle of, I have this intuition coming through that I want to do this, and I'm going to take the actions to actually implement this into my life. That is how you start building self-trust on a small scale. Start with small actions that you can do every single day and not to overwhelm yourself. Number 3 is to stop outsourcing your knowing to everybody and their mother. Because as someone that struggles with self-doubt, you probably go around asking everybody for their opinions. And you need to stop that. Before you do that ever again, and before you ever feel the inkling to do that, check in with yourself, slow down, and ask yourself the question that you are asking somebody else. It's not fair to you to go to somebody else and ask them what they think you should do. What do you think you should do? Because when you start tuning into yourself and your intuition, first and foremost, you are building self-trust. Because you are not going externally searching for the answers. You are starting to turn your attention and your validation and your source of knowing from within. The next one is repairing when you break a commitment to build self-trust, because you will make mistakes. You might not follow through on certain things, but it's important not to get hard on yourself here and to simply repair when you break a commitment. Be gentle with yourself. Give yourself the permission to know that you're human and you're going to make mistakes, but not to get hard on yourself about it, not to beat yourself up about it. You can make a repair and try again, and just keep doing this. The next step to building self-trust is recollect all past evidence of when your intuition guided you and when you listened, and how it actually worked out better than you could ever imagine. There are so many situations and scenarios that I'm sure you can think of that have gotten you to where you are today. So maybe even take out your journal right now and just write that at the top of your page. Recollect past evidence of when your intuition guided you to where you were supposed to be. Because our mind focuses on the negatives automatically, and by recollecting the positives, you will see all the times in which you trusted yourself and it actually worked out better than you could have ever imagined. Next step to building self-trust is learning to be with discomfort instead of abandoning it. It's really hard for most people to be with discomfort, but it's the people that allow themselves to sit with discomfort and not run away from it that actually grow and become everything they've ever wanted to become and everything they've ever wanted to create, because it's in the discomfort where we grow. And the more you can sit in the discomfort and experience the challenges and the opportunities to grow and evolve in them, the more you begin to trust yourself. And last but not least, step 7 to building self-trust is honoring your intuition in small ways and building a relationship with your intuition. So you can go throughout the day. Maybe you're going out for lunch with a friend. You're looking at the menu. Just be like, what does my intuition want me to get today? And allow the first thing that you feel a yes to be the thing that you choose. Because I'm sure you've experienced this where you're at a restaurant and you look at the menu and you see all of these amazing things and you can't make a choice. You have decision fatigue. Choose one. Choose the first thing that caught your eye and you were like, holy moly, wow, I want to try that. And just doing this in the most simple, subtle ways of making choices every single day, of trusting your intuition, of what is the first thing that caught my eye? What is the first thing that felt like a yes? And going with that decision. Self-trust, this whole episode and the whole concept of self-trust is coming back to yourself over and over and over again. Reclaiming your inner authority instead of seeking externally outside of you for somebody to give you the answer. Because the truth is that nobody is going to know what is best for you other than you. Of course, you know that what's best for you because only you are in your body. Somebody else is not in your body. They don't have your intuition. And your intuition is your GPS in this life. Your soul is here for a reason. Your soul chose this exact body that you're in for a reason. And the more you can give yourself the permission to just slow down, listen to yourself, and tune in to your body, tune in to what you are receiving, the more you will be guided and have clarity around what it is that you should actually be doing. I also want to say too that this journey of building self-trust is not just a one and done thing. It's a lifelong journey and process, and it's so important for you to be so patient and gentle and forgiving with yourself, because it really does take courage to listen, to show up in the discomfort, and to show up with discipline, with consistency, with devotion to your life. And especially as a highly sensitive, intuitive, and creative woman, this is so crucial for you because you know you are here to do something beautiful and big. You have a mission in this life. You might not exactly know what it is yet, but you feel this fire within you. You are meant to share your voice. You are meant to share your magic, and the world needs you. You're here for a reason. The world needs your light, and it's in your hands, and you will find out at some point in your life if you put your energy towards this, but you will receive the answer of why you're here, what you're here to do. And it doesn't have to be this big thing. It could be super simple. It could be bringing joy back to life through you, experiencing joy. It could be bringing play to people's life. It could be bringing remembrance. Building self-trust begins with the permission to actually feel safe enough in your body to trust yourself, and committing to small daily actions that actually allow yourself to feel that you are reliable enough to actually trust yourself. You can do this. I love you so freaking much. You so got this. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please support the show by rating on Spotify so that we can get this out to other incredible women out there that just need this hype up in their life. And I do want to share too that I am opening doors to my community, the Whole Soul Collective, on June 1st, and to the 30-day Whole Woman Reset, which is made for the intuitive, sensitive, creative woman to build a new inner foundation of clarity, of purpose, and just a greater clearing and a greater knowing of her energy, where it's going, and where she actually wants her energy to be going in this period of life. Doors open June 1st. If you are seeking sisterhood and community, if you've been wanting this, you can join in the link below. And I will see you next week. Mwah!